They don't have credibility on this. They need trusted voices now speaking for them. Dr. Fauci, for example, is the most trusted voice in America right now on the coronavirus. He needs to be front and center and to tell people, here's what happened, acknowledge whatever mistakes that were made, and talk about how they're going to do better going forward.
Good morning. Oh my God, I didn't even know it wasn't on. Good morning, y'all. Oh my gosh, you woke up to so much shit. What are the chances that that's actually what we're going to see today?
I think they're pretty low based on the last 4 years. The president has never been honest about his own health issues. The unscheduled trip to Walter Reed, the letter that he dictated in 2016 about his
Good morning, y'all.
All of those things undermine
we are
anything
up,
he might say now.
Up this morning, and we're up. So I'm up watching CNN. So I decided to get on. I decided to get on live to talk about what I'm watching. So I'm watching them talk about waking up to finding out that President Trump has the coronavirus, him and First Lady Malania. And it's so funny because, I mean, if you watched my live last night, I was talking about, what's his name? King Face getting, dying of AIDS. And now we got his boy Trump with the coronavirus. I'm like, So if you haven't been paying attention, it's saying that his aide, Hope Hicks. First, yesterday we found out about her, and we all know that Donald Trump has been trying to tell us that we don't have to wear the mask. This is all fake news. This isn't real. Blah 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 blah. Like, we all know that he's been telling us that, right? So to see him now have the coronavirus, and we're now like a month before the election. We have to get a Supreme Court justice on the bench, and he has the coronavirus. So now, what are you going to come out and say? You know what I mean? So when you're being questioned about coronavirus, you can't say it's fake. You can't say it's going away, when right now it's in the White House. You have it. Something that you said is not even a problem anymore is happening to you. Crazy. 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 Mm-mm-mm. I woke up in this type of mood, y'all. If y'all were watching last night, I woke up. Where's the dude at? Where he at? I woke up feeling like this, yo. I really did.
This guy, this dude name was Kingface.
This dude name was Donald.
He was a conservative coon. This motherfucker's dead, man.
Oh my gosh. Wow. This has happened to so many people who've come out and talked about this and said that they didn't believe it was a real thing. Who's the guy who died over the summer? Let me think of his name. The black guy. He was a Republican. He supported Trump. What is his name? Herman Thurman, something like that. Thurman. What is his name, y'all? Kane? Is that his name? Herman Kane? Yes. Herman Kane. Yes, that's who it was. We can go to Wikipedia because he was kind of trash too, so he don't even need. I don't even. We can use the Wikipedia for the Herman Kane. Yup. This was another person who was out here believing Donald Trump and his bullshit, and end up catching the coronavirus and dying. Sorry, y'all. Sorry, I'm just making sure all the volumes are almost seen. I like to see myself on all of the where I'm streaming to. So cut off the volumes. Anyway, so yeah, Trump woke up. So Herman Cain was another idiot who was out here, who caught the coronavirus behind Trump, and Trump telling them it's not real, it's almost over, it's not the real thing. So Herman Cain, born December 13th, 1945, and then died July 30th, 2020. And like I said, he was Tea Party activist, born in Memphis, Tennessee. Morehouse, blah 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 blah. Really accomplished man. So sad he turned out to be trash. Yeah. Black votes for Trump 2020. In 2020 election cycle, Kane, who was a co-chairman of the Black Voices for Trump. Okay. Okay, so on April 4, 2019, President Donald Trump said that he intended to nominate Kane to the second of the two vacant seats of the Federal Reserve Board, assessing the possible nomination. News publications reviewed Kane's sexual misconduct allegations that preceded his withdrawal from the 2012 presidential election. Kane acknowledged that the nomination process would be more cumbersome for him due to his unusual career. He initially stated that he was not considering withdrawing his name from consideration for the seat. After it appeared likely that he would not receive enough votes to support his confirmation, Kane withdrew on April 22nd, 2019. Okay, so I'm trying to get down to, because the shit was crazy. He went to one of Trump's rallies, and yeah, he went to I think it was the one in Tulsa. Let me see. I think it was the one in Tulsa. Oh, I got another article. CNN. So this was published from CNN on July 30th. Ooh.
In our country, I'm Jim Shuba.
And Poppy Harlow. This morning, the president and the first lady are in isolation after testing.
It's so hard to watch these people because it looks like they're trying not to smile, trying not to show any emotion sometimes. But we all know CNN.
Immediately, we will get through this.
We all know CNN are Democrats. Like,
lady tweeting that she and the president are feeling.
Okay, I'm not gonna say everybody,
very good
but
news. This morning, the vice president, Mike Pence, and the second lady have both tested.
And I'm not saying it's wrong, but we got Fox to balance
it. The White House comes just 32 days before the presidential election.
The Democratic nominee, Joe Biden, we've been told, is going to take a test now as well. That, of course, following Tuesday's debate. The president's diagnosis has.
So you think that Trump was acting like that because he had corona?
Real, very important questions.
No.
Into this presidential
you can't even blame corona for Trump's behavior.
International reaction, including from
you can't even blame Trump.
This year.
You just can't. You can't even blame corona.
Reaction as well. First, let's go straight to the White House. CNN's John Harwood is there. John, an important question here is how
you can't even blame him.
Walk us through the timeline here. This started with.
Wait, you can't even blame corona. That's what the fuck Trump is.
Jim, it's almost impossible to process how much has happened this week. Let's go back.
Like ever since he's got elected, it's like every fucking week, like every day. Like we've not had a break from bullshit.
A test coronavirus testing event in the afternoon, then he did debate prep. On Tuesday,
around all these people with no masks.
Walk through at the debate hall, debated Joe Biden at 9:05, and then returned
at the debate halls without no mask. Just trying to, one of those people just want to be so right but so wrong that he's willing to go to the edge. That's all it is. He's willing to go to the edge with it, yo.
It wasn't a particularly long rally.
At rallies.
In the evening,
walking through. We all seen the pictures with him no mask. Thinking he's defying. He's right. And then my whole argument was always, how are you right and we actually have people who died from this? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, for you to be right, we can't have hundreds and thousands of deaths, like almost 1 million of deaths, for you to be right.
Told that he was feeling lethargic at that event. He then returned to the White House at 6 p.m. The White House disclosed nothing
this is
about
crazy.
any of this until our colleague Jennifer Jacobs from Bloomberg reported
I
around 8
know
o'clock
Malania
that Hope
is
Hicks had
mad. I
tested
know he's
positive.
catching hell.
That was the
If he
trigger.
couldn't touch her 2
Then
days ago,
it
he
was
really ain't
confirmed
gonna
by
be
our
able to touch
colleagues
her.
at CNN. The president went
If he
on
couldn't
Hannity
touch
and
her
said,
2 days
well,
ago,
whether I have it, I don't know. I'm waiting for
she
test
really
results.
not gonna let
And
that nigga
after
touch her.
midnight, he tweeted that he had tested positive and gone into quarantine. That's how we got where we are now. We understand from our colleague Maggie Haberman, CNN political analyst as well as New York Times reporter, the president is having cold-like symptoms, is feeling lethargic.
Feeling lethargic.
Does not get any worse.
And he's no sprung chicken.
Pence, has tested negative this morning.
He is no sprung chicken, so this is not going to be easy on him.
We're all waiting to see what happens in the course of the president's illness and those close to him, because a whole
Hold on, Malania.
We're close to the president.
You got this, girl.
During the time when
you got this.
Infectious.
Melania is a G.
The health is just everything.
She ain't said nothing to y'all.
Them and of everyone around them. John Harwood, we appreciate the reporting from the White House.
She's living her best life in the White House.
Medical correspondent Elizabeth Cohen. Elizabeth, good morning to you.
And when this is all said and done, she gonna leave this nigga because she's still young.
He is 74 years old. He is
74 years old.
Obese in terms of his weight.
He's obese.
And that comes with increased
treated
risk.
for high cholesterol.
There are also things we do not know about his
and he took
history.
the hydroxychloroquine.
There's much that we don't know about his medical history, Poppy. Let's go through those risk factors.
How do we have a president that we don't know his medical history?
As you mentioned,
like his taxes.
74 years old. So
where's his transparency? Why we didn't require transparency from him?
By age. He weighs 244 pounds, which makes him clinically obese. He's been treated for high cholesterol. At one point, he took hydroxychloroquine when he was exposed to a different White House staffer who had COVID. We don't know if he continued to take it or if he started taking it again. Now, I want to stress, this definitely puts him in a very high risk
we got the lip gloss.
Elderly and clinically obese.
Elderly.
He's also male.
Elderly. Let's talk about the fact that
most people, even if they're in this highest risk category, do survive and do okay.
Let's talk about the fact that
remember, his risk is definitely higher than
we're referring to our president as elderly. I don't think that at any point in time in this country that a president shouldn't be older than 40s and the 50s, like starting. I just don't. I think that's a good middle age to relate to people older than you, and then to also still kind of be in touch with the younger and surround yourself with younger people. I just think that once you start to get to 70 and you're surrounded by other 70-year-old people minded, and you're just too far removed from at least 30 years, right? 3 decades of just like popular culture. You're removed from it. And I know people want to say, oh, he was always around, but no, you're removed as in though like you're not a part of it. You hear what I'm saying? So when you're that far removed from the culture and people, I just don't think that you should be president. You're too far removed. Like there's just no way. Like I would be surprised, or I know I would be surprised, like, if Trump knew how to get online and get on Zoom. I'd be surprised. I would. I'd be very surprised if he had any technical issues that he knew how to fix it himself. With that being said, later that is important, right? Because that shows you how far disconnected he is from being at least in touch with people. You know, there's a dinosaur being your president who has no way of really gauging true feelings of people because he's so far removed from it. He doesn't understand any of our hardships. He's 74 years old. Look what just has happened in the last 4 years. I look back and even sometimes I sit with my niece and how she's at 4 years old learning how to use a mouse and learning how to type, and I'm teaching like at 4. So we're talking about a president who's 74 years old. Come on. Too far removed, too old. Most people, once they reach even their 60s, they start to slow way down. How many of us got older parents and they don't barely know if anything that's going on? I was pissed when someone put my mama on Facebook because she's too old to grasp how big it is, right? And she doesn't grasp the it's just different. we just put more out there than they did back then. So for her, she sees things, oh my God, what's wrong with that person? What's wrong? And it's like, Ma, I don't know. But I promise you it'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? We're so used to seeing a whole bunch of shit that for me, it's like, okay, I don't know what's going on with them. I mean, but that's what we're used to doing. We're used to putting ourselves out there. We're used to just putting our feelings up. And if we're mad about something, put it out there. And I tell her all the time, I say, you don't really, I mean, that's just a moment. You know what I mean? I could be on a bus and something made me mad about my commute and I put a post up. It doesn't necessarily a reflection of a whole day. It's a reflection of a moment I'm having right now and that I'm writing about it. So no, I never understood that. Never understood that. Never understood that. But yeah, I wanted to get on here and talk about this. I wanted to talk about this anyway because I wanted to talk about voting anyway. I remember I was saying the other day, let me see. So Trump had put out the tweet at 12:54 a.m. I had seen it. I was up. And Don Lemon was on the television and he's like, "Oh my God, we got breaking news." Yo, when these newscasters they get their breaking news, I feel like it's a drug for them. I feel like it's really a drug for them. Because he's like, we got breaking news. And they still gotta seem composed and don't seem excited or don't react to it. It's funny as hell. It is funny. We got breaking news. I don't care what y'all say. I see smiles. People look like they're glowing on this screen to me.
And typically the treatment is for people who become symptomatic and generally symptomatic enough to go into the hospital. So, of course, the president has endorsed a number of things, including hydroxychloroquine, where the evidence is not good. And
give him another dose of the hydroxychloroquine.
So, presumably, he will be attended by outstanding medical staff who will
who's this? Dr. Esther Cho? You're smiling, hon.
Symptoms that require any sort of medical treatment. It would be supportive and symptomatic unless the symptoms progress. And
this is fake news, but you're smiling.
You know, it's still very.
Trump reportedly seemed tired, sounded hoarse yesterday. Oh, Trumpy.
And the interesting thing about COVID.
So people were really around him and seeing all of this and was like wasn't concerned.
And then we'll see people actually have their
I don't give a
kick
fuck.
in 7 to 10 days.
If I feel like my life is in danger and you could be the reason.
Dr. Webb, here's the extent of what we know about the president's symptoms.
I'm just gonna Google people who thought coronavirus was fake and died from it.
Had a raspy voice. Now those could be other things. Lots of travel, right? I mean, you get tired. People get tired sometimes, but it's also the New York Times.
Because there was another one. There was a black pastor from, I think he was from South Carolina. I talked about him too before. I'll bring his ass up. So we got Herman Cain's dumbass.
Because we don't have the benefit of you being in the same room with him. But what do we know about early symptoms for others when they're infected? What should
pastor who passed away from corona? I remember this.
What would his White House staff be looking for?
He died April 15th. 2020.
At the moment, because
had a nerve to be on his pulpit, and that was the thing, and that was the thing I was talking about. I remember this because we can talk about this. That was the thing I was talking about. But this pastor who defied social distancing dies after contracting COVID-19. Church says, I remember this fucking fool, right? And I'm gonna say fool. I don't know. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna say fool. I might can't use this article, so I'm gonna find another way. But I'm gonna say this fool. I remember this fool because I remember he was just so boastful and loud about it. Just loud and wrong. Loud and wrong. Yo, I remember him. So the death of Gerald G. Glenn, a bishop of New Deliverance Evangelical Church in Chesterfield, Virginia. Okay, that's where he was from, Virginia, not South Carolina. Was announced during Easter services. A Virginia pastor who defied warnings about the dangers of religious gatherings during the pandemic and vowed to keep preaching unless I'm in jail or the hospital died over the weekend after contracting COVID-19, his church said. The pastor, Gerald O. Glenn, 66, the bishop and founder of New Deliverance Evangelical Church in Chesterfield, Virginia, died on Saturday night, according to Brian Nevers, a church elder. Mr. Nevers announced the death of Bishop Glenn during an Easter sermon, which was posted on Facebook. I want. The first thing I ask God is why, Mr. Nevers said. The bishop has touched our lives in so many ways. Mother Marcetia Glenn, 65, the bishop's wife, also tested positive for the virus. Marguerite Crowley, their daughter, said in an April 4th post on the church Facebook page, Mrs. Crowley said at the time that her father was on a ventilator at the hospital. It became very real to you, Miss Crowley said on Facebook. I just beg people to understand the sensitivity and the seriousness of this, because people are saying it's just not about us, it's about everyone around us. Wow. And then Tim Kaine, I don't know who he is, maybe some type of, but he said, my heart sinks as I learned this morning that Bishop Gerald Glenn, pastor of New Deliverance Evangelical Church, died yesterday from COVID-19. He was a friend and pillar of Richmond faith community. May all do as much for so many. May all do as much for so many. Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing him. I remember hearing about him, this pastor, and this is a article from the New York Times. I remember hearing about him, and I remember being really upset. And it's my problem with the church community, right? Because just because someone goes and gets they're a doctor and they're a doctor in religion and stuff like that, doesn't mean that they are educated enough or have the tools to talk about medical stuff, right? And so that pisses me off with someone who has a platform and has have a following like that, that you would use your people, not that you would use your ignorance, because it's ignorance when you don't know about something, right? That you would use your ignorance to sway people from going against people who really know what they're talking about, right? When you want your car fixed, you don't go to your doctor, right? And vice versa. So it's just really weird to me that what people were allowed, pastors and stuff, to come along and tell them wrong when they don't even have the skills or the background to be able to speak on that. And that pisses me the hell off. Like, we get like, there's no part of the Bible, nowhere in the Bible to say that God say be blind sheep and follow behind people blindly without questioning, without asking. You know what I'm saying? He also gives you those tools to have that type of discernment to know better, and you don't lose that for people when you know better, right? That's the part of not being ignorant, of knowing, right? So you don't lose that behind people. So that always, like, I don't know, that aggravated me. But let me find some more Pastor Who Defied Social. That was him, and then his wife ended up getting it too. And it was so funny. I want the clip. Y'all have to see this man in his glory. I want the clip. And that's, I will always say, even if you look back in politics and stuff like that, and we look at some of our past elected officials we sent to represent us in Congress, especially in the 60s and the 70s, when Black people were just are really getting into sending people, and we are running for office and stuff. We were sending the wrong ass people. We were sending people like this gentleman right here, Gerald Oglen. He would probably, back in the 60s and 70s, he would have ran for office. This is the type of people we send. Like that pastor slip talking type of people. That's what we were sending in the 50s, 60s, 70s. You get what I'm saying? That Jesse Jackson in them. And I say that because the thing about, being elected an official and you have to go to Congress, so you got to put the work in. You got to put the work in to get in these rooms, get on these commissions. You got to do the work. You got to put legislation out there that you want to, like, you got to build network and all that. And if you have somebody that is just a popular person in your neighborhood and who just ran on, I'm Black and I'm proud, vote for me, and I'm going to go to Congress and I'm going to be heard, and they don't have the tools and know what they want to be heard about, baby, they're not going to be heard. Nothing changes, right? But so that's why this past election cycle in 2000, when Ayanna Pressley and AOC in New York and the woman in Milwaukee, when they all got elected, yeah, you substance, right? We don't get that often, that burst of people with substance, people with a backbone going into office all at one time, right? So I mean, the last group, Maxine Waters is Maxine Waters, so it was just only one of her. And that's not to say there haven't been other influential black women in Congress, but I'm saying someone who stands out like Maxine. I just feel like this time around we got 4 Maxines. Like they are her in different ways. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like, especially like Ayanna, she's so like Maxine in a way. She's like, when she's talking her shit, she's talking it calm and she's letting it flow, and she's composed. That's that Maxine. When she's like that too, she's hard to get off of. AOC, that's when Maxine is like this. I don't care. I'm claiming my time. AOC is that type of energy, yo, for real, for real. So, and then the lady from Milwaukee, Elon, I don't want to say it wrong. Yeah, y'all go look her up. But she's the one who's hopping out the Jeep like Maxine. So, but that's why it's so great this time around, because you got 4 of them. So, and that's needed. You need that type of representation in Congress. You don't need that go with the flow. We don't need that don't question the hand that feeds you. We don't question our seniors. And I think they've been doing it the right way. I mean, they pit out what they want. They're not disrespectful to the elders within their party, and I think that's dope. But it's time for retirement for some of them old fuckers, especially that dude in South Carolina, Mitch, and I think Mitch and the other one from Kentucky. Get them the fuck up out of here. They don't even fit the new Republican.
What is the reaction that you're hearing?
Well, the 2 big questions right now, Poppy, is what physically happens to the campaign. How do they handle the business of campaigning going forward? And then what, if any, campaign staffers are at the risk of exposure of coronavirus because they spend a lot of time around the president and his closest aide. So far,
so this is Ryan Noble,
not
CNN.
saying what steps they're taking to make sure that their campaign staffers are not at risk for contracting coronavirus, including
I want to
campaign
find this
manager
video
Bill
of this
Stepien, who
pastor.
traveled with the president to the debate on Tuesday, was in close contact with Hope Hicks at that time. So far, the campaign not saying if any of these senior advisors have been tested and what those results were. Now comes the second part of this question.
So here's another one. Another pastor, March 30th, 2020. So we have Mr. Glenn here. He passed away. And then April, and then March 30th, a Florida pastor arrested after defining virus orders. Like who are you? Who are you? Who are you to like go against medical research? Like, who are you to go against doctors? And that was because my whole thing is, if you don't want to listen to doctors, then why do you go to the doctors to get treated for something that is wrong with you? Like, my whole thing is, how are you picking and choosing when to and who to listen to, or when to listen to the doctor? When does the doctor know what they're talking about for you? Because my whole thing is, if you believe in them, you believe in them. How do you on your own just go against what they're saying? Like, that's just crazy. Got Herman Cain, got Glenn. I want a Virginia pastor. I want the video. Let me see. Hold on 1 second. Oh, it's already up there, so it works. All right, so here I have on my screen. Let's see. I want to see if they have a video of him. I want to see him he was in the pulpit talking shit. Y'all, I wanted a video of him actually saying, oh. March 22nd, where he stood in defiance against social distancing.
I want you to do something right quick. Get the cameras ready. Yeah, I want the people to see who's here today.
He sounds sick. Look at all these people being his sheep. And he's possibly taking them to be slaughtered. And to catch the corona. And they just sitting up there all stupid. That's what Pastor said. What? No, what did doctor say? What did the motherfucker who's gonna keep me alive say? What did he say? Like, what? This is crazy to me. I'm sorry, my internet is acting up. But what did my doctor say? Pastor, I respect you and whatnot, and I'm gonna come by and get a plate and shit, and pay for a plate after church and stuff like that, for the roof and shit. But I can't listen to you. What is wrong with telling them that? Nah, Pastor, I don't think this is. I think I'm gonna go with my doctor on this, and them people on the TV. You know, somebody died. I'd make up somebody. You know, Jerry Lynn died, right? I'm gonna listen to these people. Come on, I want y'all to see this defiance. Come on. See, I hate websites like this, the New York Post and some of these like gossip or blogish websites, because it's like it'd be so hard to go to their web pages. It'd be easy to have a better experience on your phone than sometimes you have on their websites. Because all the ad stuff, and I get it, but if the experience is not good, it's not gonna make someone want to come back to it. It doesn't make me want to come back. Can't speak for nobody else, but it's gonna make me want to come back. Come on, I want this video to play, y'all. Let me refresh. Let me refresh. Alright, here we go. Still acting up. Okay. It's not that long, so I'm gonna let it go from after probably violating. So he was telling them how other people were in the hospital and how he planned to be here next Sunday too. And he looks sick. This is sad. Shit. If I was in the pew, if I was out there and sitting there watching him, and I'm hearing this on TV and I'm watching him, I'm gonna get on out there. So, you know, expeditiously, I'm gonna get out. He's gonna start talking. I'm gonna wait for a big busy moment. But I'm leaving this church. What?
I want you to do something right quick. Get the cameras ready. Yeah, I want the people to see who's here today.
Your sheep. 1953 to 2020. His daughter is now urging people. Y'all seen that? Y'all see how he was just like really telling people like, I'm gonna be here next week, and that was the 22nd. He won't here next week. So, I mean, more of the story, and as we can see with our with y'all president, he didn't listen. He didn't listen. He did not listen. Let me see how people reacted. Y'all know it's still cool to think for yourself, right? y'all know it's still cool to be your own person. Y'all know it's still cool not to follow people. Like, that's still cool.
Oscar, and I deliver packages for Amazon. I recently took a break because my girlfriend and I just had a baby. When I came back,
Hear about Amazon about to take over the world. Are you serious? It's a long ass. That's what you get when you go to somebody's website. That's why people like click little clips and stuff. I'm not gonna do all this shit.
I don't really know how to. I'm just taking it day by day, moment by moment. Understandably, It isn't easy for Pastor Larry Miles Sr. to talk about the death of one of his closest friends, Bishop Gerald Glenn.
We can't go to lunch no more. We can't hang out at the conventions anymore like we've been doing for the last 46 years.
In those last
I don't really know how to.
Y'all know when as people get older, church is like it's an event for them. That's why they like to. That's their going out. Like, and I can't knock it because that's what they get into. But at the same damn time, let me say, at the same damn time though. Whoa. That don't mean you gotta lose your mind. You know what? And I'm sorry. This is a Black community thing where to be down or be around this church, you have to act like you don't have no damn sense, and you got to be led by mediocre Black men with very little critical thinking skills. And I'm gonna say people are dumb, but you got to allow yourself to be led by mediocre men, and it ain't for everybody.
I'm just taking it day by day, moment by moment.
Understandably, it isn't easy for Pastor Larry Miles Sr. to talk about the death of one of his closest friends, Bishop Gerald Glenn.
We can't go to lunch no more. We can't hang out at the conventions anymore like we've been doing for the last 46 years.
In those last 46 years, the two men rose up the ranks within their faith, eventually leading their own churches. And it was Bishop Glenn's parish,
y'all know what
Deliverance Evangelistic Church.
And I feel bad for him because that was his partner. They were getting his money together. They were rising up the church structure ladder, getting these raises, got their own piece. You know what I'm saying? End up getting their own church. So that was his partner. He taught him a lot about the game, and he was keeping him abreast. And I feel bad.
That made the unfortunate announcement on Easter Sunday.
Our father, Bishop Gerald Glenn, transitioned from labor to reward. I struggled very hard yesterday trying to get through my own virtual service and trying not to cry as much.
He describes Bishop Glenn as a multi-generational pastor who would not only care for his churchgoers, but for their whole families, a pastor that would always be available. Pastor Miles says in the last few weeks,
he and Bishop
Glenn, along with the bishop's wife, had discussed the coronavirus's impact on their group of faith leaders, the Church of God in Christ.
Our organization has had so many bishops to die around the country from the virus. And, we were discussing how sad we were, and we were discussing moving forward and being.
This doesn't help his friend, and this doesn't even help him. So you mean to tell me y'all got together, y'all discussed the coronavirus and how it has affected your church community, right? And I say the church community because sometimes these people have a tendency to very much live in a bubble of, communion with work, just outside of people who aren't a part of their church circle. It usually just be work people, right? But then they get right back into their bubble of the church people. So most of the time they live in a bubble. But don't tell me that in your bubble, you're hearing and of people that have the coronavirus and they've died from it, and you still decided to defy the odds. Oh, brother, if you just want to go home, that's all that was. And there's no wrong with that. That's all.
Be careful.
But while they mourn today, Pastor Miles says he knows that this isn't a true goodbye.
As long as we live, Gerald will never die, because I have a piece of it. I have a piece.
That's
of
amazing.
Gerald is good, and I treasure that. I really, really do.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Man, y'all. Please stop listening to people that don't make sense. Like, don't try to go against the grains. Don't try to think new. Don't try. This ain't the outside the box thinking time. This ain't the hypothesize. This is none of that. There's none of that. Let's just let the people who know what they're doing and follow the lead of the countries that know what they're doing. But there's more people who have listened to this man, Donald Trump, who today we find out has the coronavirus, right? Fake news and all that stuff. We wake up, we go to sleep last night to wake up to finding out he has it, right? As he's running on a campaign in the United States telling people not to believe the fake news, don't worry about it, it's almost over. I think there's a pundit here, and I was on his show recently, and I didn't quite know everything that he was about, but Me, I go back on the back end and do my research and look into things. So it's a gentleman. He goes by the name Turtle Boy here, and I don't have no problem with him. What you believe is what you believe. But also, I had listened to something, and he was talking about how, not allowing these kids to go back to school is doing more damage and harm to them. This is dumb. We need to send these kids back to school. How do we say that? How do you say that? And your president just gets on camera today and tells you that he doesn't get on camera, but it's being released that your president has it. And damage to a kid, 1 or 2 years of not being able to be active as much as they want to, or the education not being up to the levels that we need it to be. And that's, yes, that is an inconvenience. Most definitely, that is an inconvenience. It's an inconvenience on the parents. It's an inconvenience on everything. But I can't think of one parent that would feel like they would rather have their kid in school than have their kid be alive. And that's what we're talking about. And I think this puts it, our president, y'all president getting this disease puts it on perspective that it's still real out here. And I know white people tend to think that because they're good and they don't have to interact and they have access and stuff like that, that they're okay, and that we're the ones that are being affected by it. So they're so willy-nilly to want their kids to go back to schools.
We'll get to the president in a moment. Obviously, all of us are hoping for a quick recovery for him and the First Lady.
Where's my girl at?
In the West Wing and at the White House. Let's begin, though, with markets. So you've got a mixed close in Asia. You've got Europe down, and you've got our market off 350 points on the Dow right now.
Markets rattled after President Trump tests positive for corona.
Right now, what are the implications for the market?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right.
Who sent Hope? Was it the Russians? Did the Russians send Hope in? Was she there? Was she there, Salt? Yeah, I remember Salt was a sleeper agent. Was she there, Salt? Come on, Hope. You came through, but we want you to beat this because you are young. Isn't that what the president said? She's young. Isn't that what he said? She's young. She's young, you not. They sent her for you, Doug. They sent Hope.
I think that even at his age, most people who get COVID recover relatively quickly and don't have very serious, unless they have comorbidities, very serious outcomes. And so I think we're going to be watching this health very closely. Markets will too, and of course they'll respond negatively to bad news.
Maybe for a week or two. Let's hope he is okay and that the markets do feel reassured as we learn more. Look, our White House reporter.
She said, "Let's hope that he is okay."
Staff inside the White House right now are, quote, nervous. They're very careful, but there is, quote, concern. You not only worked in the White House, you had an office in the West Wing. You were working there when 2 other staffers were diagnosed with COVID. What are your thoughts this morning, having lived through that experience?
Sure. And in fact, it's more than just the 2 that became public.
There was somebody else who died who said they didn't believe in it because of Trump.
And I just wish that people would cover it this way. I think that it seems like as I flip around the channels that there's some places even glee that there are people in the White House sick. Is that people understand the risks. That when I was in the White House, I got a little bit of flack for saying, hey, I understand the risks. When there's COVID, it's incredibly contagious, and that I'd be safer if I just stayed in my basement. But I'm going to work every day because it's my duty to serve the country. Yes. Yeah. No, I said that it's scary, but you overcome that. I mean, obviously there are a lot of first responders that are doing much riskier things than going to the White House, but the West Wing is a cramped quarters place.
That's true.
If there is COVID anywhere in the West Wing,
he said there's more, people like doing their jobs, like EMTs that are going into places. You hear what I'm saying? And scarier than him going to the White House. But if you just follow what they say you do, why not just go along with what they're doing
every day as well? That they're serving their country. They would be safer if they were Zooming, but they go into that White House press room to serve their country. And anyway, so I think that that's the way to think about it. And I've spoken to a number of people in the White House this morning. I've not heard of any other positive tests, thank goodness, so far. But I think that people, again, they're being heroes. They're going in there when the risks are high. They've been doing that. If you go back to March when I started back to the White House in my second trip in, we didn't know anything about COVID. And we knew that lots of people in government were getting it, including over at FEMA. And those people were coming back and forth to the White House even before we had testing. But we went to work every day because there was an emergency. We had to serve our country. And so I think that this idea that the White House...
Let me see what my girl Gail and them was talking about.
They deserve to be sick or something. It's just wrong. There are 43,000 people that got COVID yesterday.
those 43,000 people weren't misbehaving. There's nothing immoral about what they were doing. It's a contagious disease. It's terrible.
It's a little immoral thing, but we're talking about people who are just deciding to not listen to the people who know what they're talking about. That's what we're talking about. Okay, Drew. Oh, I missed it already. She's off. I've never watched the Drew Barrymore show. Let's see what this is like. It's very much like what I thought. She's standing in front of TVs with a whole bunch of TVs with animals in the background. No, this is what I thought. I would immediately tune in. I mean, it's cutesy. It's cutesy. It's like that thing they went and did with like the Rachel Roy. Remember when she had her cooking show and stuff? That cutesy type of thing. It's just always been weird on Drew because you don't know if she's special or not. I've always thought Drew Barrymore was special. That's just my opinion. I like her though, but there's not something weird with her mouth. I don't know. I always thought she had like a cleft. She got her mouth or something fixed. That's what it seemed like when she speaks. I'm trying to watch and see her show. But I wonder why Drew Barrymore got a chance to have a show. And I just wonder what was it about. I mean, I know she's famous, very accomplished, can't take that from her. But I wonder what made them say, "Oh my God, let's call Drew." Was she doing something before this just drops in her lap? I'm just wondering. I really want to see what she's talking about now. Now my interest is piqued. Now I want to know what is Drew Barrymore talking about. And all it is cutesy. She's just cutesy. I don't even know why. I don't even need to. Okay. Tamron Hall comes on in 10. That's in 20 minutes. So if we're still on, then I will watch. Live with Kelly and Ryan. New. I'm all set on that. Steve Wilkos. So funny how Jerry Springer passed that baton, didn't he? Passed that baton. He passed that baton to Steve Wilkos. Get money. What you say, huh? Get money off the niggas, huh? Get money. What you say, huh? All right. Well, I'm gonna try MSNBC. I like MSNBC, even though I don't watch it a lot, which I should. But I haven't been watching regular. Like, this is the most I've watched regular TV in months. And I know people don't understand, like, months. Y'all better learn how to go low when shit look dark outside. Go low. Okay, it's back on before I can change.
And now, how excited I am to meet our next guest. I've been devouring that podcast for weeks and weeks. And there are two comedians and moms who tackle, like, everything and anything. And they just are able to approach all these different subjects and do it in such an interesting way.
Oh, I can't be the first to notice. Y'all not distracted?
Let's take a look.
Being a mother during this
but she got Kim Whitley. I like me some Kim Whitley.
In the world.
Sherry Shepherd is goofy.
Your child,
not goofy funny, but goofy.
If I hear the word mama one more time, I finally told Jeffrey, just call me Sherry.
The work that has been required from these schools is...
So Drew Barrymore right now has Kim Whitley and what's her name? Sherry Shepherd on, and it's Two Funny Mamas. Is their podcast, and they are funny. There's no way around that.
So is horrible.
I have to be honest. I haven't checked my son's work since he started online. Jeffrey goes, Mom, I did not tell you not to call me that anymore. I need your help. The teacher wants to speak to you. So I'm running there. And the teacher's telling me, she's like, I've sent you many emails, Mrs. Shepherd.
What I'm not going to do is let these women who just have probably one child and who had children late and who have access to money act like they're having a hard time raising one fucking child. One child. Do you know what our parents and stuff, how many children they were raising? Come on. Okay, let's go ahead. It's
really
content.
Tackled so many different types of tones and genres and subjects, and I love the way that you mix it all into this one pot and make it all work together.
You know, we've known each other for so long, and I was there when Kim adopted Joshua, and she was there when I had Jeffrey. So we would always commiserate together, and we don't hold back anything. Like, you know, Drew, during this pandemic, we are both depressed.
I hated Sherry Shepherd on The View.
24/7 around us. I know we're supposed to be bonding. I think we're supposed to be bonding, Kim. But I'm like, I need you to go homeschool with somebody else.
Right, and we really, I was excited about this podcast, Two Funny Mamas, because we're two funny mamas, and we're on tour together doing our stand-up, and we just feel like we have something to offer the world, you know, especially during this pandemic, that we can give advice and have fun. If we can, you know,
I don't want no Sherry Shepherd advice,
and give you advice, it gives us joy.
Well, and like one
she
minute
took
you'll
the
be
advice from the
talking
Niecy
about, like,
Nash that
mental
just came
health,
out,
and the next minute, you know,
as a lesbian that got divorced last year. It's just all messy. It's just very messy. I think I would. I think I'd not take your advice.
Oh, thank you. I do appreciate that. You know, we never think about it because it's so natural for us that we share.
But on the side note, when you think about who would be friends in Hollywood, these two right here, they seem like they would be friends. Like, I couldn't see like Sherry Shepherd hanging out or Kim Whitley, and I could just be wrong, you know, but I couldn't see them hanging out with like a Lisa Ray and a Vivica Fox. They just seem like they're just too like that. That just wouldn't mix. But I could see them two being friends. Yeah, I could. Mm-hmm.
We cry together, we laugh together, we fight. So I think it's just being in during these hard times that we're vulnerable. And just like you, Drew, and Sherry can attest to this, that once you show your truth, and we're comedians, they expect that. If I'm going to let Sherry say something. She has new hair on.
She got new hair on.
I think in life you have to be transparent. We, you know, because we're comics, we look at the world, and you know this because you dated a comic. You look at the world in a kind of skewed.
Yeah,
we don't look at it in like circular or rectangle. Everything is a weird shape. The way we look at life. Like for instance, I was trying to. It turned out my son was missing like every assignment in his class. He was not turning in anything, and trying to tutor a teenager who, number one, doesn't like you, number two, doesn't like you, and number three, don't like you. So trying to tutor him, I literally went outside and I sat on the stairs and I cried. And I called Kim and I'm crying, and she's like, she was so funny. She's like, wait a minute, listen, because she gets in the camera. She goes, listen, just put everything down, get a glass of wine. Are you drinking wine?
I'm hearing you. I'm gonna make my
glass of wine. Yeah. And then she went through.
Maybe I need to make me to, you know, every day, my niece comes here and just homeschooling with me. Maybe I need to make it something like, it's because, I mean, she does drive me a little crazy sometimes, and I just look at her like, okay, where's the melanin? But just joking. But she drives me crazy sometimes, but I love her so much. But I get it. It's hard, but I get to send her away. So this is completely different. I get it when you have to homeschool a kid and they are a kid that they with you. They're your kid and they're with you all the time. So, right. So there's no break. So I totally get that part of it. Like, okay, it's a lot. But Sherry Shepherd, you have a teenager like you should, like you said, and they need tutoring. You know you can pay for tutoring and someone can do that over Zoom, right? I'm just confused. But like I said, I get it. It's good for the shtick. You're on Drew. Y'all have a lot of laughs with it. I get it. But I'm not a fan of Drew. And I can't stop looking at her mouth because I don't know. I'm just under, but see, I just think money can fix everything. Because when you don't got money, you think that. So when you don't have money, you think that. So when you look at somebody's like something that probably, I don't know if it can be fixed, but it just feels like money can fix it. Whatever that is. She's so nice. She's so sweet. Okay, shut up. Go somewhere. We can just have talk and just have a conversation. I can't say some off the cuff stuff, and I don't know what to tell you. It'll be all right though.
Not blaming you that it was there.
So I'm at MSNBC. I don't know who's these people speaking, but I don't come over here that often. They got this autumn-looking map of red, oranges, and yellow.
Yeah, I think this definitely puts pressure. I mean,
West Virginia has 1K, like 1,000. I went there this summer. One day we'll do a video where I just talk about this summer.
Through August, they could spend down some of the money they had in their checking accounts. You know, too many didn't, but enough did. But now people have gotten through those cushions.
Okay, so he only has mild symptoms. So it's been reported that the United States had 7,318,030 cases, where India had 6 million. Worldwide, America has over 7 million, but worldwide is 34 million people have contracted the coronavirus. Deaths in the United States is 209. That's a better. I mean, that's a good number in perspective too. We're talking about 209,000 compared to 7 million people who have gotten it. So that's a good number.
You could get into that from under the force.
That's like not half of nothing. That's not even half of a million. You know what I mean? So we do have to be thankful for that people are being able to catch it, get into the hospital, and some treatments are happening and people are surviving. So that is good. And those are good indicators. And I understand Trump likes to just try to. The problem with Trump, he's not coming out here and say, hey, overall, America's had over almost close to 7 million cases of coronavirus, but of 7 million, only 200,000 people have died, right? And no, we don't want to lose anybody. We don't want any deaths, but we got to really look at numbers wise and say, like, that's a really good number, and odds are really, really on your side. If we continue to do what we're supposed to do, which is to wear the mask and be considerate of people and all that stuff. If we continue to do that, it'll work. But the numbers aren't too bad. You know, I think a lot of deaths that we heard about in the beginning was because we just didn't know. I lost a cousin, and his mother too passed away from it. So it was like, but that was so in the beginning. Like, it was so like people didn't have enough time to prepare and don't know where you've been. Like, it was just in the very beginning. And then when it hit, it just hit all at once for and it was hard for a lot of people because you had your doctors and nurse who wants to be safe, and it was just a lot at the time. But most definitely, I agree that with Trump, like, the numbers aren't too bad, but we can't still just be in denial and try to go against what's working. I really do think the country, and I know people hate it. Yeah, I think we do need like a full-blown regional. We need a full-blown shutdowns. And I know people don't like it. I don't like it because I'm up north and I don't want to be here. So I'm up north, so I understand it. We're not looking forward to it because for us, when it get cold up here, we stay in more, right? So we stay in. But we need it. We do. We're going to really try to get rid of it, like these other countries, like Japan, and the country that we got it from, or China.
It's called Imperfect Foods. They're offering imperfect grocery items, still perfectly delicious.
Imperfect Foods.
Use code grocery20 to receive 20% off your first order at imperfectfoods.com/tv.
But why the olive oil imperfect? I don't know. That's concerning. Okay, I hate commercials, bro. I'm so used to Click Life. Little clips. I said Clips Life. That I hate it. Commercials.
Getting healthier. Until I found out what it actually was. Dust mite dropping.
Okay, so nothing there. But I was trying to look for a list of celebrities that died, that said they didn't believe in it. So yeah, that's what I wanted to get on here to say. I also did want to talk about the fact that as Black people, we're always being told to get out here and vote, right? And I don't feel like that's the same message that we're being told or we stress in the Spanish community. So there was this article that I had came by, let me see, NPR. What did the election 2016 teach us about Latino voters, right? And in this article, it was just talking about the fact that when you looked at the numbers, where is that? All right, so we don't know the percentage of Latino voters who participated in the 2016 election until the census data. But for some background, 48% of eligible Hispanic voters turned out in the 2012 election, down from 49.9% in 2008. So they came out really heavy for the first year. Obama was elected, which in 2008, but again, just like Black people, they also fell off in 2012. But I think the other numbers that is worth looking at. Where is it at? Okay, here it goes. This is for comparison. In the last 3 presidential elections, both whites and blacks had voter turnout that was at or above 60%. And that's what I'm trying to say, that for Spanish people, we don't have that same type of turnout. So we were talking about get out and vote. And also, I think we make the mistake of thinking that Spanish people vote like we vote. And that's just not the case. So y'all need to tell y'all brethren that they need to get to the polls, most definitely. And you need to make sure and check in that our message is their message and they're voting. Period. I'm going to keep talking about that because the numbers matter, especially in a state like Florida, which we need. We really need Florida. If we can get Florida, he's going to have a hard night. He's going to have a hard night. And if this corona ain't filled up, he's going to have a hard coughing night. He's going to have a hard night. He's going to have a hard night. If we can get Florida into play, oh my gosh. And then they say in Georgia and Texas, and they doing all types of crazy shit in Texas. I just seen earlier on the CNN that they were talking about how we can find it. What they're trying to do, like if you vote by mail, right, to mail your ballot in. Let me see. That oh God, RNC Chairman Ronna McDaniels also test positive for coronavirus. It's just almost a corona affair. Like when's the ball down there at the White House? The corona ball, like breaking Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner test negative. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm. I still like it. I seen the interview last night that Mary Trump did where she said that her uncle will have to admit that he's a failure and a fraud because of this. And I still don't see him admitting it. If this coronavirus and this situation takes him out into November, he's never going to admit it. Never.
That means America's adversaries are North Korea, Russia, China, Iran. Joining me now, former Assistant Secretary at the Department of Homeland Security and CNN National Security Analyst Julia Kayyem. First, I want to begin on the question of the.
I think this Julia person's in
far
Boston.
from there, but just so folks understand the legal standard for a president temporarily, perhaps handing duties off to the vice president.
Should they want him to hand off that power, homeboy, real quick? Let us get that real quick. Let's get that back real quick.
Is it hospitalization or is it not clear?
It's not clear. It's incapacitation generally, or it would be that, as President Bush had done, you would be under anesthesia. In other words, your incapacity to be competent. So most presidents who are healthy but have to go under would then write a letter and transfer for a short period of time. We're not there yet. We certainly don't think we're there yet. But there are processes in place to deal with this transition between a president and a vice president. And we should have confidence in a good way that the systems of transition from continuity of operations and government and transition of presidents are actually systems that have been.
Yep, she's in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I knew I had seen her say that she was in Boston. So Juliet
Okay, let's look
Kayer.
at the playing field right now.
Yeah.
U.S. adversaries were also already watching the U.S. response to the coronavirus and frankly, unsuccessful response to the coronavirus. Yeah. Now you have the commander-in-chief infected, according to our Jim Acosta, showing symptoms of this, given his age, etc. Do North Korea, Iran, Russia, China, do they look for opportunity to take advantage, and what does the U.S. then do in response to that concern?
They will certainly look at sort of an opportunity to take advantage, but it's not clear at all right now whether there's an opening. So how I think about it is, first, just the distraction issue, right? We have a president. Let's be clear here. We have an entire Whitehouse, an entire leadership from the Senate to the president. Now,
I'm gonna look her up because I want to know what she does.
Gap in leadership that we have right now because we're focused on something else. Symbolically, we are in a worse place because 2 days ago, our adversaries, as well as our allies, saw a nation brought to its knees because of its horrible COVID response, so much so that we couldn't even visit our allies. We're not allowed to travel. And it said something about our
okay, so she's an American business person.
Our capacity to essentially rebound. In that gap, countries like China sort of take hold and go forward, and other nations align with them. So I think it's
okay. So she's an American business person and author and host of a WGBH podcast, The Sci-Fact. She served as national security analyst for CNN and is a weekly guest on the Boston Public Radio. Okay. And she's originally from Los Angeles, California. Harvard Law. Whoa. This is a very smart woman, y'all.
We appreciate your analysis.
Thanks, Jim.
Very smart woman.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Major developments overnight. If you're just joining us, we're glad you're here. I'm Poppy Harlow.
And I'm Jim Shudo. News
it's Allison. That's who I fuck with. Allison.
And the First Lady.
I fuck with them all, but I love Allison.
For COVID-19. We now know that he appeared tired and hoarse on Thursday. This from Whitehouse staff and a White House official telling our Jim Acosta.
Is that President Trump is showing mild symptoms after he and the First Lady tested positive for the coronavirus. Also testing positive. The head of the Republican National Committee also testing positive.
Who else is positive?
White House aide Hope Hicks. I'm told she also is symptomatic.
Hope Hicks. We knew that.
Eastern this morning, here's who has tested negative for the virus.
So the baby's okay. Barron Trump is good. Ivanka Trump is good, I guess. Jared, her husband's second lady. Karen is good. Okay. Everybody else seems to be good.
The results of the test that Joe Biden has received for his campaign.
Let me find out that the Russians came in to take out Trump and the Biden. Wouldn't that be something? They sent salt in for Trump and Biden. Oh, Hope, you old dirty dog.
And it has serious implications that touch every
oh my gosh.
And the markets, which are sharply down this morning. We are working our sources to find out whether the president may appear in front of
That's why your boy was acting like that at the debate. He had the corona. Y'all gotta be a little bit more understanding. When's the next presidential debate scheduled?
Crisis for the president of the United States, sending shockwaves through Washington and the rest of the world. We have it covered. I'm Hallie Jackson on this busy Friday morning, along with NBC's Jeff Bennett near the White House. Dr. Kavita Patel, MSNBC medical contributor, and
where's the next presidential debate? So we went through September 29th. The next one is October 15th. He has to do a 14-day quarantine. We are at October 2nd. So that makes that October 16th. I mean, if they do it over Zoom and he feels well, he can do it. And then the next one is at October 22nd. So, they said, God may not be on your time, but he is right on time. So, I don't know. This coronavirus and Trump getting it seems to be, what we needed. All right, y'all. That's all I wanted to get up here and talk about today. I'm going to get off here right now. Because it's time for my little homeschooling to start. So that's why I got up on here this morning. Because I really can't during the day when she's here. Because she distracts me. And then she wants to She wants to start her own video and stuff. She be watching this Cali Dollhouse and stuff like that. So she's really like, you know, that's what she wants to do now.
You know, I'm gonna tell you something.
I
The
love his
universe is a
smile.
motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? When you sit over
His
here,
beard is just
you
nice. That's why I
talking
keep
shit
bringing
all
this
the
up.
fucking wherever that fucking camera is. You talking shit all the time, whatever.
You know,
they got your ass.
I'm gonna be saving that clip, y'all. I'm gonna be saving that clip. Y'all see it? I love his smile. And just to think about Trump was probably gonna get on this camera today and tell y'all how fake news and corona and all that shit, and and he can't do that because
the universe got your ass talking all that shit. I heard you had. I heard you had
corona.
But you know.
All right, y'all. Bye. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at OG_SugarAvery. Peace.